Next is the typical structure of long bone. Structure of bone, you can see in the diagram. It is highly calcified, means contains calcium and phosphorus, hard and rigid in nature, very strong that can withstand with severe stresses, and contains lots of bone cells, that is osteocytes. Osteocyte actually the bone forming cells arranged in a form of concentric rings embedded in a ground matrix. In ground matrix, collagen fiber, mineral salts like calcium, phosphorus also present. The external surface of bone is covered by a membrane called periosteum that contain outer fibrous and inner cellular layer, and it is richly supplied with the blood vessels. Long bone has hollow cavity in the center that is filled with a bone marrow, yellow bone marrow, which is responsible for the production of white blood cells, and at the ends, red bone marrow. And red bone marrow is responsible for the production of red blood cells. In this diagram, you can see that the bone cells are arranged in the form of rings, concentric rings. That is a matrix, basically the bone. That is actually the enlarged view of bone cell. Next one is the human skeleton. Human skeleton has two main divisions, axial skeleton as well as appendicular skeleton. Very first, we have to take axial skeleton. Axial skeleton contains skull, vertebral column, ribs, and sternum. You can see in the diagram the skull. It is a skeleton of the head. It has two parts, upper top part cranium, that is a brain box, which protect the brain, and it is made up of 8 bones joined together in such a way that joints present in cranium is permanently fixed joint. And the other part of skull that forms the face, it contains total 14 bones, and upper jaw and lower jaw also you can see in that diagram. The back part of the skull contains a large hole here that contains a large hole called foramen magnum, through which spinal cord emerges from the brain and continue with the spinal cord in the backside. Next is a vertebral column. Individually you have to see the diagram of vertebral column. The vertebral or spinal column is popularly called backbone. It composed of 33 bones, just like a ring-like bones called vertebrae. They are further divided into 5 groups according to the regions they occupy in our body. The very first, the neck region, cervical bones, total number 7. Next is then thoracic, they are 12 in number. Then lumbar region 5, sacrum, fused 5 actually, and coccyx, that is fused 4. They have to form tailbone. Vertebral column is curved to balance the body in an erect position. The design of vertebral column is such that it absorbs the pressure and shocks while walking, running, and protects it from breaking. Structure of vertebra. It is just like a somewhat ring-like structure. It is formed of solid cylinder of bone called centrum. Two opposite ends of centrum are flat. On the back side, it contains A canal, that is a neural canal, formed by the union of neural arches, and neural spine is a flat longitudinal ridges. Transverse processes are thick sideward projections. Neural arches bear articular facets, one in front and one behind on other side, which help in joining the two vertebrae on one behind the other, and a pair of cartilage, that is intervertebral disc, forms a kind of cushion between the two vertebrae. You can see the basic structure of all the vertebrae is same. The very first and second vertebra name also be asked in the examination. The very first vertebra name is atlas and second is axis. And formula you have to memorize for the vertebral column: cervical C7, thoracic T12, lumbar 5, sacrum, fused 5, coccyx, fused 4. Next is the ribs. Ribs actually are 12 pairs of ribs which, along with the thoracic vertebra and breastbone, constitute the bony cage or rib cage. The first 7 pair, 1 to 7, they are direct attached to the sternum, breastbone, chest is called true ribs. And the next 3, 8, 9, 10, 10th, they have to attach with the 7th, then they have to attach with the sternum. Means indirectly they are attached with the sternum. So we call them false bone. And next 2 pair, 11th and 12th, they are not attached to the sternum at all. They remain floating in the thoracic cavity. So they are known as floating ribs. Sternum is the breastbone. It is a long flat bone present in the front of chest.